Please welcome to the stage Jimmy Carr.
Yay! Hello. Hi. Hello. This is a bit odd, isn't it? We're having a chat in a shop.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone in the shop. How are you?
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm fine.
Let's pretend this feels natural in some way.
Yes, it feels it's a giant stage.
There's a lot of people in the audience that look as if Oxford and Regent Street was a bit too much and they needed a bit of a sit down.
Yes.
God love them. I feel a bit sweaty. I might need a sit. Yeah. Who is he? He's a comedian. Lovely.
So.
Yes, question away.
Question away. Let's start with what you make jokes about. What's going on in your head?
I don't know. I think a lot is made of like the kind of the taboo stuff, the rude, kind of crude, offensive jokes, and I think offence is taken, not given.
Yeah.
People just kind of go out of their way to be offended by stuff if it happens to interest them, if that's their thing.
Yeah.
But people, no one's that offended by my stuff anymore.
No.
Because it's the 9th solo show. It's like the 6th DVD. You'd have to be out of your mind to be offended at this stage.
What do you find people react most to? What do you think when you hear the crowd go woo like that? What subject matter?
I would say anything involving a violent sexual assault.
Yep.
That's a genuine answer. Well, it's a weird thing where you talk about there's weird. I don't know if you find, like the audience find, or if you find there's things that you joke about with your friends that you wouldn't, that people don't do on stage.
Yeah.
There's jokes that are acceptable within a workplace or when a disaster happens, and they're the jokes you kind of share with your friends. And I think if you do that kind of joke on television or on DVDs or live, people feel a bit closer because they feel like he's not editing this for us. He's not kind of going, oh, you won't understand this, or you won't get the nuance, you won't get the fact that it's a joke.
Yeah.
I think people do get the fact it's a joke because you're live on stage at a comedy gig telling jokes.
Yeah.
Couldn't be any simpler, could it?
Yeah. And how do you deal if you've got hecklers who say, shut up, change or whatever, we don't like this is filthy?
No one's ever heckled with that. No. I would be so thrilled if someone heckled and went, you're being rude. Stop it, you're being rude. Normally it's quite the reverse.
Now.
Someone heckles with something even ruder. It's weird because I think that point about at this stage people know what I do.
Yeah.
And they're literally, I suppose, if they're buying the DVD or they're coming to a live gig, they're buying into your sense of humour. And they're saying, well, I've got a similar sense of humour. It's not sort of a surprise to people.
Yeah. And what do you find particularly funny?
I mean, really that transgressive stuff. I find that I laugh the very loudest just before I go, that is out of order. I don't know about you, but when I really wet myself is when I really, really belly laugh is just before I go, that's against humanity.
It's properly wrong.
Yeah. I think maybe it links back to those kind of those teenage years of where your kind of personality is formed. I mean, maybe it's a British thing, a particularly British thing. Yeah. The pride that we take in our sense of humour seems to be our sort of a really kind of fundamental national characteristic that we take such pride in. Oh, we can take a joke and we like jokes. And I think my sort of personality was formed and is in arrested development around the age of 13, 14.
13, 14, okay.
Yeah, so the things that 13 and 14-year-old boys find funny,
so you're in
that's
an
me.
eternal episode of The In-Betweeners, essentially.
I'm living that
You're
dream,
living The In-Betweeners, I know.
Yeah, pretty much,
brilliant, yeah. And are you funny off stage?
You be the judge of that. Well, I say that, we're on stage now. I don't know. I think I'm less funny now in my life than I was before I started doing comedy.
Oh, really?
I used to really make an effort with friends and family to try and be funny and to try and be, if we had a family wedding or something, I would try and be, here's one for you, I'll tell you a joke, or to try and be kind of garrulous and entertaining. And now,
yeah,
I've got my outlet. Buy the DVD if you're interested.
Yeah. Do you
want a funny story, Auntie? Get the DVD. It's only a tenner. Come on. Download that and watch it.
Do random people ever expect you to be funny, like people you bump into or whatever?
There's a weird thing that happens with projection.
Yeah.
Where I meet people on the tube, or if you live in London, I bump into people a lot, and I recognise some people from after shows that come to a lot of my gigs. You meet people after the show and say hello to them, and often you'll just go, "Hello, how are you?" And there's a weird because you're a comedian, because they associate you with being funny. They go, "Oh, what you like?" I haven't said anything. I've literally just said hello, but they go, "Oh, you."
Yeah, you're a one.
It's great.
Like that.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah. You could end up being just totally not funny and just living off your history, really.
And some have. We'll mention no names, but they're out there.
On that note, I think we should have a look at a clip
You're soon very professional all
of
a sudden.
So they put the headset on me. I've turned into a sort of fembot.
Oh, we're both massive fans of Madonna. That's worth mentioning.
We're going to do a formation dance.
Are we looking at clips? What's the clip? Is it me telling a joke?
It's you telling a joke.
I feel I could have done that here, but let's have a look at me telling a joke. There, let's see what the difference is. I'll talk you through it.
Yeah.
Is that callous enough for you? Does that not care about humanity enough?
Tell me, how do you get into comedy? Where did you start?
What get into doing? I had a really boring job. A really kind of dull, not really dull, but quite a dull job in marketing. And I just didn't, I wasn't getting any kind of thrill from life. Yeah. And I started doing it as, I think a lot of people, the perception is when you interview, people go, so, why did you want to become a successful comedian? And it's, well, it's a pretty good life. But actually what I started off to do was just to have more fun. And London has got this incredible comedy circuit. Great Britain, really, has got the best comedy circuit in the world for doing sort of little gigs. Because people come and see my show, let's say the Hammersmith Apollo at Christmas, big 3,500 seater. It's a big show that we put on, and it's funny. And then once people have been to a couple of those shows, they'll go, oh, well, I might check out the Comedy Store and go and see 3 people I've never heard of. And then eventually they end up, in some place like the Hen and Chickens in North London, a tiny little room above a pub with half as many people as are in here. Watching new people try out new jokes. And that circuit, I got really into comedy and started going to those gigs. And obviously when you go and see Eddie Izzard at the O2, it's a perfectly natural reaction as an audience member to go, well, I could never do that. But when you go and see, someone doing 5 minutes above a pub in Islington, you go,
it's relatable.
Oh, maybe I could give that a go.
Yeah.
And you sort of, my thinking was, and my thinking is still now, even if you don't make it, per se, even if you don't become a professional comedian, you do get to a stage where you can appreciate comedy much more, where you get much more out of a comedy DVD because you've given it a go, because you've stood there and you've told a joke and you know what that's like.
Did you have any moments of self-doubt at the beginning when you started, little gigs? Was it frightening, just getting into the kind of comedy thing?
I had one moment of self-doubt, but it lasted the first 4 years.
Oh, no. Really?
Yeah, it's a petrifying and stupid thing to do. It's really, especially those early days when you've got like 20 minutes of jokes and you've left your job.
Yeah.
And you go, I've left my job because I've got 20 minutes of jokes. I think I'm an idiot. I think I might be an idiot. Oh, no.
Did you ever think about going back to your old job, or is it just like once you did it, it was like, right, I'm going to do it now?
I couldn't go back. Just embarrassment. It would have been just too embarrassing. So I had to sort of soldier on.
Yeah.
But I think that's what made me. I think within the comedy fraternity, I don't know if it's more widely known, but I'd be known as quite hardworking.
Yeah.
And I think it is that thing where if you're a little bit older when you try it, I always think it's a shame when people try show business directly out of college. Because if you try it when you're young and you don't succeed, you've got something to fall back on.
Yes.
I tried it and it would have been so, awful not to make it. Yeah. But I had to just work so hard.
Yeah. Did you try it at college at all? Were you funny as a boy?
No, I was a little girl, and we've discussed this. I don't want to go into the transgender thing, but I think the operation's gone brilliantly.
Yes,
I now use a pump, and it works just like the normal one. I didn't want to be a comedian. I thought comedy, though, when I was a child, I don't know how the audience feel, but I sort of, until the age of 25, even now, I define my friends as people that make me laugh.
Yeah.
The people that I find humorous and are the people I want to spend time with, and the people that I get a kick out of being with, they're my friends. And that was always the case. So all of my friends were funny. I found them all hilarious.
Yeah.
All the time. Everyone was always trying to make everyone else laugh.
Yeah. And you've just sort of extended that and kind of...
I've tried to turn that into a job, yes.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Quite successfully, I'd say.
Yeah, it's gone all right.
Yeah.
I'm not grumbling.
Yeah.
We are talking to people in a shop, though. This feels a bit like... This feels like a really posh version of, when you see people in shopping malls going, it slices and it dices. It makes you laugh and it makes you giggle. Come on, everyone, buy one. I'm not asking £10. I say that, I am asking £10. I think it's actually £11, so...
How do you relax after shows?
I watch an inordinate amount of television.
Okay.
I watch a lot of box sets, but I spend my life in hotel rooms.
Yes.
So, there's a...
Because you tour just a lot, don't you? How much do you work?
Like I think last year, 220 nights a year is my kind of standard. That's what I'll do. But when you think about people with normal jobs, when you add it up, you turn up to work that many days. So I only work 2 hours a day, and I'm only telling jokes while I'm there.
Yeah.
So not Don't feel bad. It's like that people often quote that thing, oh, he's the hardest working man in show business. Yeah, but that is the easiest industry there's ever been in the history of man. It's like being the tallest midget. It's not really a thing.
Are you the tallest midget?
I'm one of the tallest midgets in Great Britain.
How do you think other comedians view you?
I think we all get on pretty well. There's very few comedians. Because the thing about the comedy circuit is you don't come up on your own. I think if you're an actor or if you're a singer, it's quite an isolated existence where you're surrounded by like an entourage. As a comedian, when you start maybe at the Edinburgh Festival. That would be the place where most people start, and you build up your reputation doing 20-minute gigs with other comics.
Yeah.
You're on the bill with other people, so you have to get on with everyone. It's quite a social thing.
Yeah.
And your inspiration, your kind of the people that inspire you to do better are the other acts on the bill. So there's people that have been doing it longer than you, and then there's new guys that come in, and everyone shares car journeys and kind of terrible hotels, and it feels like it's a really community sort of thing. That's kind of what I liked about it when I started.
Yeah. We touched on your subject matter briefly, and you have a lot of jokes, a lot of girlfriend jokes and things like that. And I wondered what your girlfriend made of the girlfriend jokes, and were they based on her at all?
I wouldn't say they were. I think she's absolutely fine with it, but I would describe her as a gold digger. So what's she going to do? I'm joking, but no, she literally doesn't care, and I think a lot of people have a tough time believing that she doesn't care.
Yeah.
Because they're, but the jokes are so clearly wordplay. Like in some of the jokes, she's a wanton woman off with other men. In some of the jokes, I'm off with other women. In some of the jokes, she's incredibly fat.
Yeah.
It's just like from
She's
joke to joke, she changes,
Yeah.
entirely.
She bends to the joke. Yes.
That's what I mean by projection. You don't even often. I have to say nothing. Just raise an eyebrow. And people go, "Oh, I know what he's thinking." I don't know. No, but she's really cool with it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of friends are very cool with it as well. There's a
Yes.
few things over the years that have been absolutely true.
Yes.
I remember I wrote a joke. This was years ago, which is really just a piece of wordplay, but it literally just happened. I got her I bought her a book called Cheap and Easy Vegetarian Cooking, which is ideal for her because not only is she a vegetarian. But I did buy that. Just arrived that joke. Yeah, I don't know if you call that cheap and easy. Yeah.
Can you laugh someone into bed?
No, but I can make them giggle when I get there. I don't know if you can. I don't know whether that really works. I think it's not a good way to pull. Do you know that kind of?
Have you ever pulled by being funny?
No, I've only ever.
You're repelled by being funny.
No, my relationship with my girlfriend is a sexual assault that went brilliantly well. No, but I don't think it's a good way to pull someone, a sense of humour, laughing someone, but it's a great test of a long-term relationship. I know a lot of couples, there's one there, that come to my gigs, and they come to the show and they've got exactly the same sense of humour. And I think if you've got a long-term partner with the same sense of humour, people that come to comedy shows together, it's a really good indicator that relationship just works. Because relationships are essentially, you're spending 40 years laughing at the world together.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it is.
Yes.
And if you've got the same sense of humour, I can't understand couples that, I often get guys coming up to me after the show, or girls coming up to me, groups of girls going, all the girls came, oh, my husband doesn't think you're funny. You go, well, how do you get on with him?
How do you talk to him?
Yeah.
But they probably don't. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And it was a funny thing you said, that couples would come up to you and one of them would say, oh, yeah, we loved your show. We call it the JJ now too.
There is a weird thing where you kind of live in someone else's...
Yes, life and world.
Yeah, people make reference to things that you've said on stage.
Yes.
That's terrible, really.
And talking about
given some of the stuff I've said on stage.
Well, I was going to say that couple, come up to you. The language that you use is really unusual, and I wondered, where you sort of, we were talking about sort of various kind of disgusting words that you use in your show, and I wondered where you get your inspiration for that from.
I think a lot of it was my mother had a very... I know that sounds bad. My mother, God rest her soul, was a... there's no God, I don't know why I say that.
That's my next question.
She was a really funny, very larger-than-life Irish woman, and she used to swear a lot. But she didn't just swear kind of cavalierly. She had a very good turn of phrase. She always had a very... If you ever complimented her, she was very sort of self-deprecating. If you said, oh, you look nice, she'd always go, I look like a whore at a christening.
Christmas lunch.
Which is such a lovely... I look like a whore at a christening. It's such a great phrase, and I think I sort of inherited that. I've got an eye for a phrase or an ear for a phrase. I like a nice turn of phrase, because often that's what makes a joke. It's like a funny idea, but you really sell it with a nice...
Twist it in a little bit, yeah. Because how do you come up with your jokes? Again, we were talking about how you go do feed line, punch line. You're quite sort of,
old-fashioned, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they're very old-fashioned jokes. Like in terms of, I mean, obviously the subject matter is disgraceful, and I should be ashamed. But the fact that it is just jokes, I mean, it's hundreds of jokes in a row, is a really kind of, it's an old-fashioned thing. Everything's reverse engineered in comedy.
Yes.
I mean, the way that if anyone's interested in getting into comedy, it's how you write jokes. It's almost like a crossword puzzle, and you start with the phrase that you want to be the punchline first, and then work backwards from that. And wind up with a joke.
Give us an example how you would do it, maybe.
Let me think. Okay, so one of the first jokes I ever wrote was throwing acid is wrong in some people's eyes. Which is a classic. Obviously, you had the punchline first in some people's eyes, and then you just work back. Okay, and what's the shortest amount of time you could take to get to that phrase?
Yes.
Is the thing, and that's all it is. And then and I write hundreds of those. I mean, thousands of those. And then the way you test material is you get an audience about this size, about anything over 50 people. And there's almost like a weird thing happens where individuals become a collective. There's a collective mind, and they decide what they will and what they won't laugh at.
Yeah.
And you don't know whether it's funny until the audience laugh or don't laugh.
Yes, so you have to do sort of a road test, literally on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we should have a look at another clip.
Let's have another clip.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you're taping the show just in case you can't get iTunes when you get home.
Yes.
Genius, well done.
Yeah.
There's a bootleg version of this shot from a weird angle. If anyone wants to see this show, but I've got a double chin, he's got the material.
Maybe he's doing an up trousers shot of me or something.
Is that too cruel? That's all right, isn't it? I think I think
it's fine.
I always do a few fat jokes in there.
Do people ever come up to you afterwards wanting to discuss a joke?
People have occasionally waddled up and complained about that one. Yeah, what was the one that upset some girl? I think it was, have you ever fucked a girl so fat you think it might count as a threesome? It's bad. Yep. Sorry, I've just spotted someone that looks incredibly young. Are you a child or a midget? Child or midget? Come on. Child. How old are you? 12? What the fucking hell are you doing here? Listening to this filth. Well, I hope you enjoy the show. You're going to have to go into care. Shouldn't you be shoplifting or...
He's got 52 iPods in his jacket already.
Yeah. You'll be fine, don't worry. I'll distract security. I find the age range at gigs like a weird... because there's lots of, people come... I mean, they come... I think when people your age come to my gigs, they tend to come with their parents. And 13, 14, 15-year-old kids come to gigs and they bring their parents along and they sit and they listen to these really rude jokes next to them. And I just think the car journey home must be just brutal. Just mums driving going, the radio won't go any louder. What if they ask me about felching? Oh, God. Or whatever the horrendous thing. It's all made up. It's a joke. Oh, God.
Would you say you were quite ambitious?
I think I was quite ambitious. I was very ambitious to become a stand-up comedian. But on my version of success, I became successful way before anyone else, I think, thought I was successful. Yeah. I thought I was successful when I started playing the Comedy Store in Leicester Square. Yeah. I started doing 20-minute sets there, and they booked me regularly for the weekends. And for me, that felt like, well, I'm like a professional comedian. I have ideas in my head, and I write them down, and then I say them to people, and I get paid to do that. Yeah. And that felt enough to me. That felt like that was a cool job to have, and I was having a lot of fun. Yeah. And everything past that has kind of felt like gravy. I suppose the only ambition is you sort of wouldn't want to miss the opportunity. No. You know, when you get kind of, someone goes, do you want to do a TV show? You go, yeah. Yeah, you do. Of course I do. Why would I turn it down? And is that how you got on telly? Yeah, basically. Yeah. And when did you first realise that you were starting to be successful? I suppose the first time, I remember like a really clear incident after a gig, meeting a guy and him coming up to me and going, oh, you'll like this one. And he told me one of my jokes back. Oh, what was it? Can you remember? I can't remember what the joke was, but it was something like I think it was it was one of the kind of the early jokes of mine. No matter how much you give a homeless person for a cup of tea, you never get that tea. you know, a little wordplay thing. But he like, this was like 3 years in or whatever, 3 tours in, and he went, "You'll like this one." I went, "I wrote that one," and he went, "Oh right, okay."
Okay,
and that felt like, oh wow, that's like to be in someone else's mind, to be in someone else's mind, like to be someone else's favourite joke in their head. Such a lovely
influencing them, yeah.
You kind of feel like, oh, I've got that role in someone's life.
And
it's a weird thing where I've been around now for a few years. I've been sort of on TV for sort of 7 or 8 years. So there are people that have, you know, I've always been there. You know, they you know, started off watching Your Face or Mine, and then Distraction, and then the Friday Night Project, and Out and Cats, and all the way through. You won't remember. This is from the olden days. He's no idea.
Do you like telly? Do you like doing telly?
I love television.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was always like my favourite thing. It was always like a really exciting, fun thing in the corner of the room. And I do adore it. I watch a lot of TV myself. I'm a big fan.
Yes, what do you watch? What do you like watching?
Well, I mean, we mentioned The Inbetweeners. I think The Inbetweeners is an extraordinary show.
Yeah.
But really, you know, serious stuff as well. I like this year, I think This Is England was probably my favourite show. I just thought it was because by turns, I don't know if anyone watched, did you watch This Is England? It was like brilliantly sort of funny and well observed kind of 80s, you know, period piece.
Yes.
And then, but it made me laugh out loud and also tear up in the same hour. And I found that an extraordinary thing. I find it as well, but there's an American show called Breaking Bad, which I find it does the same thing for me. I find that I find it incredibly moving, and also very funny. And I kind of think that's what life is like.
Yeah.
I like shows that kind of capture that. Because often I think dramas can be a bit too dour. You kind of go, well, no one's life is that depressing, surely.
No, I think, I don't know, do you find yourself watching a lot of that? Do you do it to relax after you've done a gig or what?
Yeah, late night I watch a lot. I watch a lot of, you know, DVD box sets and downloaded stuff, and just kind of, you know, but I have a lot about, you know, being a comedian is travelling.
Yeah.
Is being on trains or being in the back of cars or in the front, you know, driving around the place. So I listen to a tremendous amount of media.
Yeah.
I mean, my favourite thing in the world, I know it's really boring, is books on tape. I'm really into books on tape. I just really like driving and being read to, and just it feels like a really, really cathartic, lovely thing.
Yeah. So is there a God?
Is there a God?
Yes.
I don't think I'm the best man to ask. I don't think so. I would recommend Christopher Hitchens' God Is Not Good.
Yeah.
And anything by Dawkins. Great books. Yeah, I don't know. I think I lost my religious faith in my kind of mid-20s.
Yes.
And I don't think it's any coincidence that my life started when that happened.
Yeah.
I think I was almost kind of living vicariously through some kind of belief in an imaginary friend. No offence to anyone that's got a religious faith. Good luck to you and stuff. or anyone that really likes the Hobbit movies. As far as I'm concerned, it's all much of a muchness. But I felt that as soon as as soon as I started taking responsibility for my life, then things started to happen. Because I sort of went, well, no one else is going to do this for me. No one else is going to bring me flowers. I better plant my own garden. I better go out there and do 300 gigs a year and try and get better at this.
Yeah.
And not just wait for something to happen. I think I spent my early 20s waiting for something to happen.
And then you suddenly realised it wasn't, and actually you had to take responsibility for your own life.
Yeah, go and do something, yeah.
Yeah. Was that difficult?
I think it was, yeah. I think because you open yourself up to failure, don't you? If you really try at something, you could mess it up.
Yes. And were you worried about? Well, you must have been, but you took a bold leap when you left your job.
Yeah, I'd say everything seems. I think when you look back on it, everything seems kind of calculated. I think it was just idiocy on my part. I just kind of went, oh right, I can leave.
Yeah.
I'll leave. I've got enough money for 6 months. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. And then it worked out fine, and here you are, kind of. It's 9 shows later.
In an Apple shop.
In an Apple shop.
It's good though, isn't it?
It's really...
Nice bit of retail. Get out. Where's she gone?
She's taking a call.
Where's she gone?
She's
gone to the bathroom.
Oh.
All right, okay.
Should we do a clip while she goes to the bathroom?
Let's do a clip, because I don't want her to miss anything, the poor love.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing, there's lots of jokes about charity over the years.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Why do you think?
I think it's one of those kind of, you know, very serious topics that's so earnestly dealt with on television. And I think actually, you know, the lighter you are about it, the more people are willing to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's a real thing. You pass it every day. But it's, you know, I think joking about these things is quite healthy.
Yes.
I don't know what your reaction is meant to be.
No.
I think there's something about... you know, my style of comedy and joking about really taboo, controversial things. I think people naturally do that. I'm sure everyone in this room has received a text after a disaster, after something really, really bad happens, because you somehow need to get it out of your system. You go, what's happened? How many? All right.
Yeah.
You can't. What are you going to? You're going to laugh or cry?
Yes.
And again, a very British thing to laugh in the face of horrible disaster.
Because it's difficult for comedians because you then you get yourself into hot water, then there's a debate about, because you had the issue with...
I got into trouble last year.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that was just my turn.
Yeah.
I think it's a weird thing where controversies, I think there is a certain sense of it just kind of floats around. And I think in my show this year, and certainly on this DVD, you can watch this DVD, and if you're a journalist, you can watch this. I think there are probably 40 or 50 potential newspaper stories in the DVD.
To happen.
You could just go, well, that's offensive to anorexics. Right, we could run with that. That could be a story.
Yes.
If something happens in the news, you could turn it into a news story if you wanted to.
And
please don't. Unless we think it would help sales. Do we think it would help sales? No, fine.
Just go for it.
Yeah.
Probably would, ironically, that's the whole thing. And when it blew up last year, how did you feel? Did you feel annoyed? Did you feel people weren't getting, the nature of comedy?
I think it's weird when people take jokes out of the context of a comedy gig. Like they took a particular joke out of context of a comedy gig and a comedian telling it, and they phoned up people with bereaved relatives and told them the joke down the phone, and you go, yeah, that's not appropriate. That's really not appropriate. I would object to that.
Yes.
But it's an odd thing. It's all about, because what you can and what you can't say is all about context.
Yeah.
It's all about how were you saying that? Was there an agenda there? Are you trying to prove a point? What are you saying?
Yeah. Do you find that there's a different feel if you're playing a huge hall or just a smaller gig?
I do quite small gigs.
Yeah.
Comparative to what's out there at the moment. Peter Kay's doing the O2 this week.
Yeah.
And it's a great event. And I think there are comics that you go to see, and there's comics you go to listen to. And I think that's not to be that's not to in any way disparage. I think Peter's an amazing act, but I think people go almost to worship. He's just a brilliant presence. People want to be near him. People love him. I think with me, people go to hear the jokes.
Yes.
And also to join in. The audience participation is such an important part of the show. I don't want to do a bigger room than sort of 2,500 because I want the people at the back to be able to shout.
Yeah. What's your fail-safe favoritist joke?
Fail-safe favoritist joke. It's always the last one that I wrote, but it would be something horrendously rude, I'm sure. What are we going to open up? Are we going to have some questions from people?
I think we're going to open up some questions for people, so we're going to open it up to the floor.
People look as if they've just come in to get out of the cold.
They do.
And the potential student riots.
Yeah. Self-immolation.
That's nearly a hand up, isn't it?
There's a hand up.
That's the most timid hand up I've ever seen. This could be bad. That looks like you might want child support or something.
If you want to wait for the microphone, you need to wait for the microphone.
Is there a microphone?
Because we're doing...
All right.
We're being recorded.
He's saying wait for the microphone, and the man's just standing there with the microphone.
No.
You might want to pass the microphone, might be an idea.
We've got one here.
Oh, how did that happen?
Do you think there's room in comedy for a woman who hates women?
Do I think there's room in comedy for a woman who hates women?
Yeah.
Right.
Are you talking about yourself?
Yeah, kind of. Not all of them.
You hate women?
Most of them.
Okay. You sound. I mean, Apple. This is a podcast, so there's no link to a dating site. But you sound. Is there a website for damaged women? Because that sounds. I think there's. I think women in comedy it's a very interesting question because I think you are. If you want to get into comedy and you're a woman now, I think you are pushing at an open door. I think there's such a hunger for funny women out there, and there aren't that many around. And I think it's because breaking into comedy is such a thankless task. It's such a thankless couple of years to go and do those open spots and to go and spend, what's the Malcolm Gladwell thing? 10,000 hours getting good. It's difficult, and it's a lot of driving up and down the motorway and service stations and messing around. But if you want to get into it, there's so much room there for female comedians. I mean, the one that really broke through in the last year, Sarah Milligan, I think is fantastic because she writes jokes that are just as good as anyone else's jokes. She's not trading on being a woman. She's trading on, I'm just really good at writing jokes. I'm really funny. It's a great thing. But so what's the thing about you hating women?
I studied sociology, and I had a feminist teacher, and she actually made me lose the will to live. And
wow.
It's really turned me against women because they, not all of them, obviously, that's a terrible generalisation, but a lot of them just whinge about the most ridiculous things.
It's weird because what you said was I had a sociology teacher that taught me and put me off. What you said was that, but what I heard was I can't come to terms with the fact I'm a lesbian. Weird. There must be a problem with that mic, love.
Yeah.
Are you good at pool, can I ask? Do you own a pair of dungarees?
Let's have another question.
This has turned into Jeremy
Put
Kyle.
your hands up. Yeah. I'm going to push you off the stage in a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
When you write jokes, do you ever sit there and sort of think, fuck, I am actually really funny? Like, when you write one that is... I mean,
Of course he does.
But do you sit there and go, that is a cracking joke?
You know that I've got quite an embarrassing laugh anyway, because my laugh, it's like a honk. My laugh is... it's how I naturally laugh. So when something occurs to me, I will laugh at it when I first... Because on stage, I tend to be quite stoic. I tend to be quite sort of... Because I've heard it before, frankly. I'll laugh when audience stuff happens because I haven't heard that before. Occasionally, I indulge myself in going, that's going to work. It tends to be the really, really rude ones as well that I go, yeah, that's not going to be a problem. People will laugh at that.
So sort of like crude is quite, you always guarantee laugh.
There's a weird thing because it's always light and shade in shows. It's weird actually being, I've been interviewed a lot the last couple of days because the new DVD's out and, you're out kind of doing promotion. People always focus on the rude stuff and actually there's still in the show, there are maybe 100 jokes that you could, really family friendly, just wordplay. Just clever little bits of wordplay. And often I get a real kick from writing something that I go, do you know what, I could probably do that on BBC One on the Royal Variety Show and there wouldn't be a problem. And it's rare for me that, because those jokes are more difficult because there's just not as many that are as funny. It's easy to be funny when you're talking about, sexual stuff or taboo subjects because it's already exciting. It's already kind of, everyone's kind of craning in. To do something funny about the snooze button, it's very difficult because it's so everyday.
But I mean, stuff that happens to you, like I know stuff that happens to me that, bad things that happen to me that are quite funny. Do you ever put material of stuff that's happened to you, like a funny incident? Do you ever use it in your material?
Very rarely that I get, like, I tell anecdotal stuff. I mean, occasionally, it tends to be funny conversations that I've had. I'll note that down and then change it a little bit and make it into a shorter joke. But I tend not to tell kind of funny stories about life. I'm not waiting around for funny stuff to happen. That would be... Because I don't think enough funny stuff would happen. I don't know. I'd spend my whole time going to the doctors, going, still nothing? Still not an anecdote? I had one funny story about a doctor's. Sorry, this is unrelated. But I had a funny thing happen at the doctor. I had to have an examination at the doctor. Has anyone had this? It's quite a lot of young men here. There's one guy. You look older. Have you ever had your bladder checked? Did you have the camera?
He's saying yes.
4 cameras. Man, I take my hat off to you. 3 sound engineers. He's good. I had to go. It was about 7 years ago, right? Okay. This was in my act about. I never made it to a DVD, but it was in my act for a while. And I had to have this exam where they put a camera down your pee-pee. It's another name for a cock, son. So that, and you would imagine. I mean, I imagined as I'm hearing that every man in the room is going. It's not a problem. Medical science. It's probably like a human hair. It's like a biro. I mean, it was brutal, my friend. Brutal. Okay. So they put a camera in, and I just started doing Your Face or Mine on Channel 4. So I was a little bit known, but like not famous. Okay. So this nurse is like, and I'm flattering myself with this movement. But she's putting this camera in, and like she's making eye contact, and she goes, what do you do for a living? And I went, I'm a comedian. And she went, tell us a joke. Actually, it's to my credit that I did. And here's one for you. If you think that sounds painful, by the way, a camera being fed in, nothing. It's not painful at all compared to having it ripped out. That doesn't tickle. I don't think that's really answered your question, but that's a story from my real life.
Yeah.
But that takes too long to tell. I could have told 5 one-liners in that time. I would be wasting your time.
Do we have another question?
Yeah, sure.
Can you sign my book as well?
Can I sign your book? Oh, if anyone wants anything signed, I'll hang around afterwards. I don't mind. We're gonna have a fight. Any other questions? Oh, you've got your hand. Hello. There you go. There's a lady with her hand up. Hello, lady with her hand up.
Hello. Have you ever felt that with new comedians coming out that you should feel like you have to change your sort of set to kind of move in with a new crowd or whatever? Or are you always proper strong and keeping your own sort of
I think it's a really interesting question because new people do come along kind of every year. I think this year is probably John Bishop's year. I think. That's my feeling. I've known John for the last maybe 8 years. We've gigged together. I think he's terrific. He's a great storyteller. He's a great comedian. He's got really funny bones. And he's kind of coming through, and he does stuff he talks about his life.
Yeah.
And it's a very different style to the sort of thing that I do. I didn't sit down before I started doing comedy and go, right, I'm going to be the kind of guy that does 3 gags a minute, and I'm going to try and do about 300 gags a show. It picked me. That's all I can do. I think that's all John can do. I think you can't really...
It's your own personality.
Yeah, it's basically, it's who you are in front of an audience. I'm trying to be funny, but it's quite exciting having people coming up as well. It feels like a very vibrant time to be a comedian. You know, there's newer names. The guys that weren't famous 12, 18 months ago, John Bishop and Rod Gilbert, suddenly arrived. And you go, oh, great.
Should we have one more question?
You can have a few.
We can have a few.
You can have a few. Go on, yeah, ask away.
Yeah.
Go on, give him a microphone. Come on, you.
Yes,
Your posh blue jumper.
Hello.
Hello.
What's your favourite place to play?
Favourite place to play?
Yeah.
Your mum's house.
Very good.
I don't think it's places so much. I mean, obviously I don't know if you're aware, but Hewlett Packard have got a shop, and they do, and it's incredible. No. Oh, someone's crying from Apple. Don't cry. I reckon it's nights of the week in Britain. It's nights of the week rather than... I mean, I love doing Montreal and Canada. I don't do much overseas. I just do... But in Great Britain, I reckon it's nights of the week. It's like a Friday night has got a real feel to it. The first half of a gig in a Friday night is always amazing. It's very... Because people have gone out after work, they've had a couple of drinks, it's the end of the week, they're a bit tired, but they're kind of a bit ramped up on it. Come on, it's the weekend. It's great fun. I think it's a much bigger difference between Monday and a Friday night than it is between Glasgow and Birmingham. Weirdly. But...
I've been to a few of your gigs. I think they're quite different.
Where have you been? Where have you seen me?
I saw you in Edinburgh last.
Edinburgh?
I've seen you in Brixton and Hammersmith.
Okay. Well, Hammersmith is, I do the gigs just before Christmas, and there's it's kind of festive atmosphere. Not that the gigs are about Christmas, but it feels like there's a real energy in the room. Edinburgh is a tough crowd to please. That's why I've always done the first of the shows in Edinburgh at the Fringe Festival, because you get quite soody people that have just been to see a Chaucer play.
And you have to kick out.
Coming along going, Jokes, is it? We'll see. Fucking hell.
Do you have another question?
Yeah, sure. Oh, there you go. Pass him the mic. There you go.
Right, I'm just asking because your jokes are proper crazy. Like, I mean, I was watching your 8 out of 10 cats and you brought like
like a proper crazy guy.
But I mean...
Like it's off the hook. What are you even like, right? No. Proper crazy. You're like mental, man.
On 8 out of 10 cats.
Some people think I'm bonkers. I just think I'm free.
On 8 out of 10 cats, you did like a Hitler impression, and you take the piss out of Lady Diana all the time. I think it's hilarious, but like, you know, the guy Frankie Boyle off Mock the Week got kind of like forced off Mock the Week. I don't. How do you get away with being such?
Well, okay. Well, a couple of things there. Frankie didn't get forced off Mock the Week. He just left.
All right.
He was bored of it.
Yeah.
He's a good friend of mine, but it's a weird thing. You can get away with a lot of stuff. I mean, you know, hats off to Channel 4. The Channel 4 lawyers and the people that commission shows at Channel 4 have got brass balls. I mean, they really have. They absolutely go, is this funny? Is it a funny joke? Do you really want to put this joke in the show? Do it. Absolutely fine. And you can't push it too far, because on television you're a guest in someone's home. They haven't bought into it in the same way as a DVD where you can just do stuff that you think is funny. But I think those jokes, they're not, they're very kind of cartoonish when I do them. They're not really about, jokes about Hitler aren't really, they're not against anyone. Yeah. They're just jokes about the boogeyman.
Yeah.
I don't know how I get away with it, but I seem to be.
Can you do your Hitler thing?
Can I do my Hitler thing?
It's hilarious.
I think I made reference to the fact that I do look like a Lego Hitler.
Is that your Hitler thing?
I've got a slight...
You can do it.
I've got a slight flick.
Yes.
I think it suits me.
I just want to say one thing. Did you give yourself the name of a Down syndromed Roger Federer brother, or did someone say that to you?
I think I did say that I look like a special needs Roger Federer. Yeah. I do. I look like Gillette's budget has been cut. And they've gone, we need someone to do the ads. We've already filmed the curvature of the jaw. Why don't we get him?
Let's have another question.
It's an odd thing, though, where actually it's an interesting point, because sometimes when someone does insult you, when someone heckles you, it turns into quite a funny line. I did a show recently with a comic friend of mine. He said he described me as you look like you got AIDS but forgot to tell your face.
Wow.
Which I thought was a particularly good line about me. Yeah.
Yes.
How do you feel when you look back on some of your earlier gigs? Do you sort of feel you've improved a lot and you're a bit cringing when you look back? Or?
Would that be a really conceited thing to say? I have got better. I think this is my 6th DVD, and before we put this one out, I looked back at the first 2 because I wanted to check. There was a heckle put down that I did in this show in Glasgow that I'd had for years for live shows and had never been on a DVD, and I thought it was on one of the first 2. So I watched it back, and I was really stiff and uptight when I started. I watched back the first Raw Variety that I did, and I'm so kind of just terrified. I mean, I look terrified, just kind of saying funny joke, but really stiff. And I think I've got a little bit looser, a little bit closer to who I actually am on stage. But I think that's quite a long journey. I'm hoping that I'm going to get better still. You would hope that when you're never finished. And certainly as a performer, I came to sort of comedy quite late in life, and you want to kind of just get better as you kind of move on. But I really notice a difference when I look back. It's a shame, really. I'd like to kind of go back and do some of those jokes again a bit better. But no, them's the breaks.
Yes, you've done the DVDs. Yeah. It's there.
They're burnt now.
Let's have one more question. Shall we?
Have you ever considered doing your stand-up routine abroad? Or is there any chance you might actually do that?
Whereabouts are you from? Can we ask that first?
Greece.
Greece.
Yeah.
And when did you start the Kings of Leon tribute band?
Nice one.
Yeah, nice one. Yeah, I like it. I am from Greece. Yeah, I might do some gigs. I'd love to do some gigs in Greece, but your economy is broken, so not going to happen.
True that, yeah, I guess.
What are you going to pay me in? Kebabs, presumably. Delicious. I've done some gigs overseas. I mean, because it's the thing that really impresses me is when a lot of people have learnt English through my DVDs, which I didn't realise until you start doing gigs around the place, and you get quite a lot of. I was getting a lot of Scandinavian kids and a lot of Eastern European kids coming to the shows. Kids are kind of 22, 23, and they were doing kind of degrees or English language as higher education courses, and they get bored of so they learn language through, because once you can get a joke in a second language, that's such a high level of ability in that language that you can understand the nuance of a joke and laugh and get it that quick. And it's a way of they're kind of testing themselves. So I do like gigging overseas, but I've left it to, it's been Canada and America, really. I might do a European tour next Christmas. I might try and do a couple of dates. Be fun. Right. But not Greece. Not Greece. I don't even think you should be in the EU, mate.
Thanks.
Sorry, you had a question as well. Oh yeah, go on. We'll go down there and then I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah,
I'm doing a bit of moderating for you. There you go.
Yes, I know. I'm trying to.
I've actually got 3 questions.
You've got 3 questions.
Yeah.
Can you pick one?
It's about average size, and yes, I will. What was the last question?
Oh, the last one.
No, go on. Go on.
2,
quick fire.
3?
Yeah, go on.
Okay,
quick fire.
First one was, do you think you're going to take your writing to longer projects like Ricky Gervais has? Second question was your favourite comedian.
Okay.
Third question was your favourite condiment.
Okay. Go for the condiment.
I would say no to the writing longer projects. I think I'm quite good. I think I'm okay at writing jokes. I think I'm getting better at it, and I think I'm pretty good at it. But when I watch sitcoms, I just think it's such a Herculean task to write a narrative arc. I'd like to try it at some stage, but I think it'll be years. I think you need to give yourself time. I know the guys that wrote The In-Betweeners very well, Ian and Damon, and it took them a year to write those 6 episodes and to do it properly and to do it to that standard. And you'd want it to be that good. What was the second favourite comedian? Probably still Billy Connolly. A huge influence on me. I know he's a very different style of comedian. I just think he's wonderful. I know I shouldn't really promote someone else's DVD, but get it, it's amazing. I saw the show live and he's just extraordinary. He's lovely. A favourite condiment? I would go with I'll go with reggae sauce.
I think on that note, I'm going to wrap up for this evening. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you to Jimmy.
If anyone else has got a question or wants to hang out, I'll hang around and ask away.
Yeah, it's all very casual here.
Yeah,
it's the Apple store. It's cash.
Yeah, if we could just stop the cameras and then we'll all get naked.
Why stop the cameras?
Just so people watching the iPod. Oh, no, I should have gone. Okay, cool.
Right.
All right, that's us, isn't it?
That's us. Just to say, you can download Making People Laugh from
all right.
iTunes.
What, we're doing a salesy bit?
Yeah, that was
yeah,
it.
Go,
I was doing
go.
my 10-minute sum up, but I
Yeah.
think you know.
You can download Making People Laugh, can you? What, on iTunes?
Yes.
Wow, that's
It
so
is,
that you're just a
yeah.
couple of clicks away. Oh, this is terrific.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
I don't need to be here, do I? You
Not-
can just not really, at all. That's it.
Thank you very much for coming to our thing. Thanks. Right, we're off. Let's go over there and give it a sense of when they can stop.